Hey everyone, I have a new sponsor, Rula, R-U-L-A, and I love them. As you know, I am a huge advocate for mental health, and I think therapy is a must for 99.9% of the population, and that's where Rula comes in. So, what are you going to do? It's very important, I'm telling you. With everything that's going on in this world right now, it's time to process with a therapist. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey toward improved mental health and overall well-being. Head on over to rula.com/Judy. That's RULA.com/JUDY to get started today. After you sign up, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, 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 please support our show and tell them that our show sent you. Go to RULA.com/Judy, JUDY, and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares. You're welcome. She needs to do a podcast since she never got her due. She's a big lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. With a gasket always ready to blow, you're listening to Judy's show. Who? Judy's show. Wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh, she's an asshole. What is wrong with you? Oh, you suck. So long. Fuck off. Hey, everyone. Welcome to It's Judy's Show with Judy Gold. I am your host, Judy Gold, and I want to let you know that I am recording this on my phone from Aruba because I forgot to record my opening before I left New York. So it might sound a little different, but here we are in Aruba. We just got here last night and I am so fucking tired and I haven't had coffee yet. But here we are. We're in warm weather. Yay. So today we have part one of my interview. Part two, see, of my interview with Chris Grace. But I need to tell you all about my dates first. So that's the first thing I have to tell you so that people actually come to my show. I had a great shows in D.C. This week. I love D.C. audiences because they know everything about politics and you don't have to be like, oh, you don't know who, but Lindsay Corrales. Yeah. So that was great. This Sunday, I am doing a gig in Martinsville, New Jersey for the Jewish Family Service at the Martinsville Inn. I think it's called the Martinsville Inn. Okay. April 8th, I am in Miami. April 9 and 10, Boca Raton at the Boca Black Box with my brother friend Rich Voss and Flip Schultz. Then I'm going away for Passover. Chag Sameach. Then I'm in Sellersville, Pennsylvania on April 19th. Sellersville, Pennsylvania. I don't know the name of the gig, but it's at the Sellersville something. Then I'm at the City Winery in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on April 25th. The City Winery. Tickets. I need to sell tickets. So if you live in Pittsburgh, please come. And then I am in Jersey City, April 26th. And Bedford, New York, May 1st. And Gotham Comedy Club for the National Coalition Against Censorship benefit, April 30th. Okay, so I got a lot. Just go to my website, please, judygold.com, and please buy tickets to my shows. I need to make people laugh, and I also need to make some dinero. Anyway, so boy, this week, I just want to say that I was in, as I said, I was in DC, and it's like every time I look at my phone, it's a breaking news. It says breaking news, and the first word is Trump, and it's some shitty thing he did, and I'm fucking sick of him. And, I can't even, Pete Hegseth, what the fuck? These people are such losers. They're I don't, what was interesting? I was driving at like 5 a.m. to the airport, right? And I'm in this cab. It's still dark out. And I'm looking at all these buildings that were built for democracy. And I'm looking at, they're just gorgeous. It's our government that we all have, worked. We didn't work hard, but that has been operating not perfectly, but better than any other democracy for so many years. And this motherfucker is dismantling it with this fucking, and good for these fucking Tesla protests. You don't have to destroy the car, but stand in front of, make sure no one buys a fucking Tesla. It's ridiculous. Do your part. We need people protesting. It's ridiculous. I've said ridiculous too many times because I haven't had my coffee yet. But it's really, really getting on my nerves. And the Hannah Einbinder speech it's like you're getting a GLAAD Media Award and you're allowed to say whatever you want to say. But, you're there as a rep for the LGBTQ plus, and you're allowed to have your opinion, and you're allowed to not want, innocent babies. Like we all don't want innocent babies and children and destruction and war. But the only people who stand up for your rights are in Israel, and that it's the only place you would be safe. So you need to pick your words carefully. You need to have nuance, and you need to acknowledge that you're getting an award from an organization that is based on LGBTQ plus rights, and they would kill you. They would kill you over there, and Israel supports the rights of the gay community until Netanyahu dismantles them just like fucking Trump. But anyway, seriously, pick your platforms and do your due diligence. And you can have your feelings. Everyone's allowed to have their feelings. Anyway, so that's that. I could go on and on, but it's 80 something degrees. I want to go in the ocean. I need my coffee. So think about that while you're listening to part 1 of my interview with the one, the only Chris Grace. Okay, so you go to LA. Oh, so you do all these commercials. Now, what kind of commercials did you do?
Tons. I did my first one was for Comedy Central, a promo, but then I did one, the big milestones were, I did one for Verizon Fios in New York City, like local New York commercial. So I don't remember if you remember, but there's a whole chain of commercials. My friend Matt McCarthy was in it, and it was Fios versus like cable internet or something. Mm-hmm. Matt is this big like red-haired guy, and it's these two guys bickering back and forth about Fios versus whatever. And it was like a series of ones. And so that was one where that was my first taste of being on the subway and having people like recognize me.
Right.
From that commercial. It was like in the New York bubble, the Manhattan bubble, I became like a mini celebrity for like 4 months because of that.
Oh,
yeah.
And now you could get on the subway and have people push you onto the track.
It set me on fire.
Yeah. That whole business of, commercials and voiceovers, it's like, it's so insulated.
Yeah.
Once you get a commercial, then you're in that group. But it's like, I still can't get a commercial I
don't know what it is very sort of momentum based or something, because like I got a lot of commercials from like 2010 to 2020 or so.
Wow.
I would say now I'm more famous than I've ever been, and I don't book any commercials. And I'm like, I would happily do commercials. Like, please put me in them. They pay well for one day of work, Yeah, I don't know what. Maybe I lost it. I don't have the charm anymore.
Definitely not. Okay, so you performed at the Pit, which is this true?
Yep.
Which is that's another place where, you can take those risks of storytelling and having a 9-minute setup for a fucking joke. But you worked with a creative studio for Asian Americans. Is that correct?
Oh, do you have the name of that lab? I do remember this, but
Leviathan.
Leviathan. Yes, that was my friend
Leviathan.
Ariel Estrada. We did. He basically was creating sort of an incubator where Asian and Asian American like theater artists were like working together. And I did. That was my first taste of actually doing stand up at some fundraisers for them.
Right.
That were for like an Asian audience.
Right.
And where I got to do jokes about like specifically the way my parents would like talk on the phone.
Right.
And, you know, it was like, that was one of my first things of like, oh, I can do a different set based on who the audience is. You know, that was like my first, which I'm sure you've experienced many times. Like when you are doing a corporate gig or something, or, you know, like I always think that's so funny when people talk about like not being able to say certain things as stand-ups, because I'm just like, there are so many times you do a corporate gig and they're just like, yeah, it needs to be PG. Please don't mention the CEO. And it's like, yeah, that's just the way it is. Like when you are getting paid to do something,
right?
Sometimes it comes with requirements,
right? Yeah, then don't take the gig.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're big. You get this part on Superstore. I mean, that it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you feel so lucky?
I did feel lucky. It felt very surreal.
It's a network.
Yeah.
And it ran for 6 years.
Yeah, there's something there's a very weird dynamic in my brain, and I don't know if other people that do work on camera experience this. I don't know if you've experienced this, but like when you're growing up, in a way, it's kind of like, well, the people on TV are like so elevated.
Right.
Like, I guess I'd like to try to do that. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will or won't. And then when you start getting gigs and you're on television, it's very weird sometimes to be like, wait, that's me on the screen.
Right,
like,
right.
This thing that our whole culture has been worshiping for our whole lives. Now I'm one of the like avatars on that screen.
Yeah.
And then at one of the near the end of the Superstore run, my character got married to another character.
Right.
And it became the like sweeps month event.
Wow.
Where they were advertising it on Facebook as being like the marriage of Sandra and Jerry.
Right.
You know, like this is the thing on NBC this month to watch. And that was so weird coming from like as a kid, which I'm sure younger people don't remember, but like when we were kids, like in September, the networks would put out a video with a theme song of like the upcoming shows. And they would be like, this year on ABC, we love it. And it'd be like all the casts from all the new shows, like, you know, riding it in a convertible or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like getting you excited about like this new mythology that was going to like the thing you were going to talk about for the whole next year. So, and then it was just weird to then be like, oh, I'm part of that now. It's very strange.
It is. It's kind of surreal.
So, I mean, I was grateful for it, but also felt like at any point it could disappear. I kind of always feel that.
You have to feel like that because that is the absolute truth. Hey everyone, did you know that Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the United States with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers? And guess what? I'm one of the happy customers. I mean, I'm not a happy person. No, I am happy. But if you watch the podcast, you'll see if you see our clips, you'll see in the background I have a beautiful fig tree that I got from Fast Growing Trees, which I've had for, you know, a pretty long time. And his name is Avi. I also have another plant on the piano, and her name is Yael. And I love my plants. And I love living in an apartment in New York City with live, beautiful shrubbery. I guess that's what you would call it. Fast Growing Trees has everything you need. And their support, I've called them, you know, what kind of soil? Do I need a bigger pot? I don't understand what's happening here. And they are so amazing to speak to. And the best part, they deliver. You don't have to drive around to nurseries, big garden centers, choose plants from a limited assortment. You order online and they are available to chat and tell you everything. They are plant experts and they're amazing and they get right back to you. I love them, love them, love them. So you got to check out Fast Growing Trees, another place that has improved my life. This spring, they have all the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. Listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code JudyGold at checkout, JUDYGOLD. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code JudyGold at checkout, JUDYGOLD. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code JudyGold. Now is the perfect time. I'm not kidding. Whether you live in an apartment, whether you have a home, whether you have a tiny little area that is just empty, now is the time, the perfect time to plant. Use Judy Gold to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. You're welcome. First of all, there are two topics. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but there are two topics I really wanted to talk to you about. The whole bear situation. Okay.
Sure.
So
let's do
I'm
it.
a les, and I've lived in P-Town since 1994.
Oh.
I bought a house there in 94 with my money from All American Girl. Best thing I ever did. And there is, if you're not a gay, there are a group of, there's different, I would sects, SECTS, of gay men, which one of them is a bear, which is, a big guy with hairy, but they have Bear Week. I don't know if you've ever been to Bear Week in Provincetown.
I've never been to P-Town, but
oh my God, you have to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's Bear Week, which is, first of all, the best week in P-Town because the bears are so nice. They look like they're like big motorcycle assholes, and they're the sweetest. They're just the sweetest group of people and great audience. And so you said that you are an old cub, which is the smaller bear, whatever. But I heard you talk about going to bear things and there's bear conventions and what the fuck is this subculture? Like, what is, it's just that you're big and hairy?
So, I mean, it's interesting because, I think there's a lot of, cultural things around it, right? Being, when it first started, it was, bear culture is this, accepting of all body types, blah, blah, blah. But I think, to be completely honest, I think a lot of the culture is, let's hang around other dudes we want to have sex with.
Right.
And, if I can assemble 300 guys that I think are hot at a hotel in Palm Springs, and, we're all going to be at the pool with cocktails and stuff like that, it just means that I'm probably going to hook up 8 times on the weekend.
Right.
Without having to get in my car. And of course, it's of course, people may develop friendships and bonds and blah, 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 right? Sure.
But it's all about sex.
What the thing is, I know that people would criticize me for saying that, but also it's just it's sure. Are we gathering and talking about should The Brutalist or Anora win Best Picture this year? Yeah, sure. That's what we're talking about the whole weekend.
Right.
Meanwhile, everyone has set up a sling in their hotel room. Yeah, it's interesting. I have a very complex relationship to the culture as well because I'm not white. So it very much complicates your relationship to
the bear
world.
community.
Yeah. Gay culture in general still has racism sort of coursing through its veins.
Wow.
But, for people that would argue that bear culture is not about sex, what they would say, I think, is that we meet a lot of friends and we have common bonds and we have common interests, right? But what's interesting is because there's sort of an underlying hum of sexual energy or attractiveness or whatever, what happens is, coincidentally or not, you look at group photos of people at events like this, and it's like, oh, you have a group photo of like 15 people, and you're all white.
Right.
Now you may not all be having sex with each other, but if on some level we're sort of gathering because of the way we look, it's sort of inevitably intertwined with the power dynamics in America of like white people are considered more attractive than other groups. So in a ostensibly
I don't find that to
social
be true.
in an ostensibly social group, those sexual dynamics mean that like less of those groups I'll be invited into, even if
Right.
even if none of them are having sex with each other. If it's a group that has this dynamic of like we're sort of attracted to each other, and I'm on a lower tier because of my race, it's interesting because it distorts like what is supposed to be like a social
Right.
environment. You know what I mean? Like,
And it's also
oh,
like the
you know.
only reason you're together is because you're attracted to that. You know, you're in this group of like, I like big guys who are hairy. It's just, it's so weird to me.
You know, it's, I mean, I do think it happens. I think human beings sort of like often form into groups that look like each other, because I
Right.
remember I did a private stand-up gig, like literally just like a private birthday party. And it was for a woman who was, I think, turning 30 and was Italian living in New York. And it was 15 women that looked just like her. And I just remember being like, oh my God, what's going on?
Oh my God. Psycho.
And that was her group of friends. Like
Right.
they were all related to
So
each other.
sad. So sad. You have been a hit at the Fringe Festival in whatchamacallit?
Edinburgh, yeah.
Edinburgh. I've never been.
You should go. I'll go to P-Town and you go to Edinburgh.
Okay, but it's like I don't want to stand there and like flyer for my show and have to like
Yeah.
and where do I live? And you know, I'm 62 years, I can't. But you did this amazing show as you were Scarlett Johansson. Chris Grace as Scarlett Johansson. And then you did this show Sardines, which is about all the loss you've had. And I love that story about the Can you just tell everyone the story about the why you called it Sardines?
Yeah, because when as a kid, my family and I, basically my brother and I, we would play hide and seek a lot with like friends. And then one time a friend of mine was like, oh, let's play a different game. Let's play Sardines. And I'd never heard of it before. And it was, yeah, I mean, if you know it, like it's a game, it's like hide and seek, except one person goes and hides, and then the next person that finds them doesn't like end the game. They hide with them. And so you all end up hiding next to each other in the dark. And then there's just like one child like left by themselves.
Right.
And I thought it was just like a very fitting, that's kind of how it felt when all these people in my family died. It's like,
right.
You slowly just get left alone on this planet.
I know. It's so,
You know?
and the thought of, you know, turning that grief into a show, you lost, I think it's 5 people. So you lost your parents,
Parents, 2
your
siblings,
ex-partner,
yeah,
and 2 siblings
and my uncle, which he's not in the show. He was in the show and then got cut. So it was really 6 people in like 7 years. Sorry to my uncle who didn't make the script.
He's never gonna know. You lost your mom. She was elderly, and in a nursing home.
But both my parents were in their 90s,
right? And which is interesting that they were older when they had you.
Very. My mother had me when she was 43 in 1973, like that. So I know. I think
my mother had me at 41 in 1962, and my father was 47.
That's pretty unusual, right?
Yes.
Like, I think now in their 40s, women, it's common.
It's common, yeah.
Yeah. But, so yeah, by the time I was 10 years old, I already thought my parents were about to die, like my whole life.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
And
also because I was like, they're 50 years old. That's so old.
I know, right? Right?
Yeah.
I know. I remember my father turned 60, but he had told me that he was turning 50. So the whole day I was like, oh my God, you're a half a century old. But they were all lying about their ages.
Yeah.
And so, you lost your parents in their 90s. You hadn't talked to your father in 19 years, which I totally get. Your ex-partner died of the flu or pneumonia or something that you gave him. Is that correct? Or he caught from you or?
Yes. He died of a heart attack, but
Right.
he had a really bad flu that I had like 2 days before.
Like, how do you fucking deal with that shit?
That was a very numb and slightly like psychotic period where it's part of it is it seems very inconceivable that other people are just like living regular lives.
Yeah.
You're just like, how are you, like, why are you guys talking about that stupid football game or whatever?
Right.
You know, like you should all be thinking about how you'll die one day.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember that when I was in a clinical depression and I was like, how are you just not thinking about like how you just want to end your life? Like, how are you going on? How are you enjoying, it's so interesting.
I felt like I was essentially like a high functioning, insane person.
Right.
Where I was like, I'm capable of getting through my life, of dealing with all these affairs and like packing things up. And, but at the same time, I'm just sort of constantly thinking like every person I would meet, I would just be like, oh, you'll be dead.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Day. And
I get that.
Yeah, it was very. The weird thing is that just like, it's funny because I think both my solo shows talk about this, but like, it's weird how things just kind of fade.
Yeah.
And now I know I have friends where on Facebook, they'll be like, well, my mother died and whatever. And I'm like, I should be a person that's like, so I've gone through it. I empathize with you so much.
Right.
And I'm just like scrolling past it being like, okay, whatever. Like, good luck. Or like I put a little hug reaction. You know, like it's so hard to stay in that space of you have these moments where you're just like, yes, I see the universality of this whole cosmic joke in our existential existence. And then like 3 months later, you're just like, my fucking toilet broke. I have to hire a plumber and now I got to, it's like you forget about this like connection that we all have.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
And then your siblings, was that unexpected?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Both my sister and brother both died like very unexpectedly. I mean, my partner died unexpectedly too. So my two parents, it was like not the biggest surprise.
Right.
Friend of mine recently just had his father just died, and his father was like 97.
Yeah.
And he was, which I agree with, and I've told people this before, but it is a thing of like, you really think like, oh, I'm going to be at a certain point, I'm ready for my parents to die. And it really is just like still shocking.
Right.
When they're 99 years old and they've been in hospice for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's still just like.
Yeah. Joan Rivers said that to me. She said her mother had just died. She said, it doesn't matter how old they are. If you're expecting it, it doesn't matter. It's your mother. It's your father, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still a shock.
One thing I will say that has been very poignant for me over the last couple of years is So my sister Patty and I are the only ones left from like our original crew.
Ugh.
And like, I don't know all the details of like where my father is from in China.
Wow.
I sort of have a sense, but when my whole family was around, I could ask him. I could
Right.
ask my mom.
Oh,
I could
yeah.
ask my older sister. And now I can ask Patty, but Patty doesn't necessarily know.
Right.
And I think about how like these sort of like family histories, they just sort of get lost, you know?
Oh, so much. I have one aunt who's alive. She's 96, my mother's sister. And that's it. Like I
Yeah.
call, she wrote her memoirs. I ask her questions all the time. It's like this linkage.
Well, also there's the thing of like, you want to go like, I should really go talk to my elders and find out our histories. Conflicting with that is like, sometimes it's just really annoying to hang out with them.
Right.
So you're like,
Right.
I want to go
Yeah.
sit at their knee and just bring a blank notebook and write it down. And then you get there and you're just like, why are you so fat? And you're just like, okay, great. Like I don't want to deal with you.
Right.
You know?
It's so interesting. So, and I love how you have taken all of this and created these amazing shows. You're just, you got to keep getting on that stage and doing this because it's so important. So before we go, I have to ask you, because, we're talking about grief and death and, the fires are going and people have lost all these, possessions and yet also their histories. But I have heard you in an interview say that you think there's a silver lining to this fucking election.
Which silver lining was this?
You said that you mentioned that, right after the election, you said you think there's a silver lining. And I wanted you to tell me what the fucking silver lining is, because I'm fucking,
Yeah, now I don't remember what it is. Maybe it faded, Judy.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a silver lining.
Yeah,
I mean,
now it's as we're in it, because this will air when we're in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say that after Trump was elected the first time, because I will say that with all this bullshit that's happening, it is still true that for people of color, gay people, trans people, queer people,
Women,
the general arc. Well, it's hard to say women
Yeah.
because of Roe versus Wade, right? But like the general arc of what's been happening is like most of us still wouldn't want to go back like 20
Right.
years, And I will say that when Trump got elected the first time, there was a moment where I thought like it would have been obviously better for Hillary to have won.
of course.
However, I definitely feel there would have been a sense of like, we did it, y'all. Like a woman is president
Right.
now. And what happened after Trump got elected was I think that a lot more marginalized people got listened to.
Yes.
It was like, because I remember people saying during Obama being like, well, we elected Obama. Like racism isn't like that big a deal anymore.
Right.
And I don't think that's the silver lining I was talking about this time around. But I really wish I could remember what it was, because I'm sure I'm just
Yeah.
like, ugh, what are we gonna do?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're in a really tough, interesting time for the people that didn't vote for him, right? Like, I think all the things that we thought worked, everything we thought when we were watching The West Wing,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of that works.
Right.
Like, I also don't know if we can afford to be so strident about so many things. Like, I just think about, like, I actually don't know fully what I think about this. But sometimes I think, like, man, should we have really, like, booted Al Franken out of the Senate?
Oh, no!
You know?
Absolutely not! No!
Yeah.
Look at these people, what they fucking get away with. He was a good senator. We're
Yeah.
comics. How many pictures like that are there of us fooling around? We eat our own. The Democrats are just ridiculous, beyond ridiculous.
Well, because I think we were like, okay, we play by our own rules.
Right.
You know, we're going to show you how
great we
morally
are.
upstanding we are.
Fuck it.
And think about all the social credit we're going to earn by having integrity, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, they just didn't give a shit about it at all.
They don't care. They don't care.
Sorry, that's not a silver lining. When I think about what it is, I'll tell you.
Chris, you're adorable. You're amazing. I hope I see you soon if you ever come to.
What weeks is your P-Town place available for me to stay in?
Oh, listen, we don't rent it out anymore, baby. We're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. I did that for a long time. I'm done. I'm too old. I'm old. What? Good luck.
Oh, I didn't say I was going to rent it. I said you're going to let me stay there for free.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not staying there. Go fuck yourself. We used to rent it out for Bear Week, and I used to write on the thing like, "Clean the drain," because of the fucking hair. But what? So what do we? You have a special out? Is that correct?
I do. The
on
Scarlett Johansson
Dropout?
show, yes, came out on Dropout. And then I'm doing Scarlett live at the Portland Center stage in May and June.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm doing it in July at the Kennedy Center.
What?
So, yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Oh my God, good for you.
Yeah.
Chris, it was such a pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Thank you so much. I was like so excited to meet you and talk to you about this. Like, just like truly one of my like inspirations when I was doing stand up in New York.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Exactly right thing to say. Where can people find you? Like you're on the stupid social media, right?
Yeah, I'm mostly just on Instagram at Chris
Me
Grace
too.
Comedy and on Blue Sky at Chris
Wait,
Grace.
what is it? At Chris Comedy?
Chris Grace Comedy.
Comedy, okay.
And then on Blue Sky, I'm at chrisgrace.com.
I can't deal with another one. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to.
How many fucking,
honestly.
Yeah.
Because
All
by the time this one gets momentum and you hop on it, then some asshole's gonna buy it and ruin it. So
Right, exactly. All right, well, thank you. I wish you the best. Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of my interview with Chris Grace. I think I said part 1 in the intro, but it's part 2. So next week will be a rant. This podcast is produced by Laura Vogel. It is edited by Colin Schmaling, marketed by Hallie Dercher, and theme song by the wonderful one and only Lauren Gold. Follow me on, go to my YouTube. I'm trying to get people on my YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. Instagram, at Judy Gold, JEWDY, and then my website, judygold.com, JUDYGOLD.com. I want to say, also there's a guy, Kyle, who works at, I guess it's Fox 5 in DC, and I was there, and he's great. Kyle, I just want to give you a shout out because you've worked there for, I think, 10 years, and you've always had me on every time I'm in DC, and you're just wonderful, and you're moving on to do things that you want to do in your life. So I'm wishing you good luck, Godspeed, you're the best, and new beginnings, baby. That's what we need, new beginnings. So, and Kyle always listens to the end, and he doesn't want me to stop the podcast. So I don't know what I'm going to do because I love doing it, and yet I don't love paying for it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you all so much for listening. You are the best. And as we always say, so long.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.